Hello, everyone. Carter Krishna here from the Pavilion, a Beyond the Boundary podcast. India are the world champions, and I want to thank everybody for joining us during this tournament. This is just the beginning for us at Beyond the Boundary in our coverage of cricket, which we aim to be different in many ways. First of all, we're analyzing cricket with an American voice, but we're also going to talk about some of the external issues, some of the other societal issues around the game, in addition to just analyzing the matches. A bunch of firsts today with India winning. They're the first country to repeat as World Cup champions. They've won their third World Cup, which makes them the first country to win 3 of these T20 World Cups. Obviously, Windies and England had previously won 2 World Cups. Those are the 2 sides that ultimately gave India the hardest challenge in the latter stages of this tournament, and of course India the first team to actually win a World Cup at home in the T20 form. So spectacular from India today. Now, I have to stress again that they were very, very labored in this tournament. First match against the US, they were fortunate to win. The United States, I had them at 77 for 6 through 13 overs. Ali Khan, the US's best pace bowler, gets hurt. Shubham, who replaces Ali Khan as a bowler for the US, gets hurt. And then, of course, there was the running error from Milind Kumar in the American innings when it looked like the US might chase down the low Indian total. But today, no such problems, no such drama. In spite of the difficulty India had getting to the stage. We just talked about the US game. They struggled against the Netherlands in the group stage. They got smashed by South Africa in the Super 8s. They were very fortunate to beat the West Indies. Windies played the better cricket that day in what was effectively a quarterfinal match, but India eked it out against England. I think that match hinged on a drop catch by Harry Brook. England, I think, had a lot of strategic batting, which New Zealand tried to replicate today in their innings, but not quite as well. So let's talk about India's innings, though, because 255 for 5 is the highest team score in a World Cup final at the T20, in the T20 form of the game. And New Zealand, they didn't follow my advice, which was bat first. You post a score with Allen and Seifert, and as you get further down the order to Mitchell, if you even get that far, because if India gets wickets bowling first, it's different. It doesn't get wickets early if they're bowling first. But New Zealand won the toss. They elected to do the traditional thing, which was to bowl first, and they paid for it. So Sansom and Abhishek, who's had an awful tournament and I thought might be dropped today, went crazy. Got a half century in just 18 deliveries, 52 for 21. By far his best match of the tournament. India's power play score was 92 for 0. I just mentioned they had 77 for 6 after 13 overs in the opening match of this tournament against the United States. In less than half that time, they had 92 for 0 against New Zealand. Just devastating. And so then you're thinking, okay, this run rate is going to slow. New Zealand's got better bowlers coming in. You know, I really felt like when you're talking about some of the guys like Ravindra who bowled the middle overs, and he did get a wicket, they would slow down the run rate. But that didn't really happen. Kishan maintained the momentum alongside Samson, who ended up going 89 off of 46 balls. Kishan had a half century off of 25 balls. It was a 105-run partnership, and that helped India reach 203 for 1 in just 15 overs. Now, Nisham bowled a brilliant over, 3 wickets in a single over, the 16th over. That's the second time that's happened to India in this tournament, where they lost 3 wickets in a single over against the United States. Skadley Van Schalwick, who until today was the leading wicket taker in the tournament, having played significantly fewer matches than those that eventually, caught him and overtook him in the standings. And then Sky had a duck, which was because of Nisham's great delivery. And it looked like, okay, there's a bit of a rally in the target, maybe a little lower. And then Dubé comes in and just goes for 26 off of 8, which was crazy. And that was it, basically. Samson, 89 for 46. Kishan, 54 for 25. Abhishek, 52 for 21, as we talked about, by far his best performance of the tournament. Dubé, 26 for 8, and unbeaten, right? He still had his wicket at the end. And even Hardik, who you don't expect much for, 18 from 13. Now, I think one of the things that for me is pretty important to talk about here is that despite that 255 for 5, Sky stuck with the team plan, which was, as we had suggested, and I think a lot of other pundits suggested, a lot of other commentators suggested, have Bumrah bowl that power play. And Allen losing his wicket so quickly, that was it. Because at that stage of the Allen-Seaford partnership, about a couple overs in, New Zealand was actually, and it's tough to judge that, especially in T20 with the slow starts and the power play, but they were on pace to maybe come close to India's number. Maybe their run rate was actually a little higher at that point. He loses his wicket, that throws them out of sorts. I think, and I should have mentioned earlier that it was actually Ravindra who got Abhishek's wicket, which was critical to breaking up India's early momentum, but it was already too late. So Bumrah bowls 2 overs in the power play. You see different kind of strategy in terms of, you see Dubé get injured, by the way, in that first over of New Zealand's innings. Seaford keeps his wicket alive, but wickets are falling around him. Mitchell feels like he has to go for power. He gets a couple 6s to begin to rally New Zealand, but he loses his wicket soon thereafter. Bumrah with slower deliveries. This is really significant. This is why Bumrah is all-time great, not just a contemporary great, not just a contemporary incredible fast bowler. Slower deliveries today from Bumrah spooked New Zealand. They couldn't hit that. They couldn't hit those. And that ultimately was it. So India wins. Congratulations to them. We will have some post-tournament analysis in the next week. There's a lot of other stories I want to tell from this tournament. I also want to mention, I did not like the fact that during the match against England at critical times, you heard the PA announcer in the stadium go, boom, boom for Bumrah, boom, boom. This is a World Cup. You don't need that, okay? I know they're hosting. It's a World Cup. It's not a home match. It's not a home international. So that I didn't like. I didn't like the way the PA announcers handled it. We know India, because of their market size, because of their influence in the ICC, because the BCCI has done a really good job recently. I have to admit, they're one of the more on the up and up governing bodies in this sport. They're never going to get called out for it. I can imagine if that had happened in the Windies, what the reaction would have been. But that I did not like. I'm not trying to diminish India's accomplishment. It is so hard to repeat. It is so hard to do this with the target on your back. They had the target on their back this entire tournament, which we saw. And the reality of this is that they were in a position where so much went wrong. Their fielding was sloppy. We even saw that today in the final. Sloppy fielding, sloppy mistakes, some psychological things, mental mistakes that you don't see from India typically. Yet they overcame that. As the tournament went on, they got stronger. They got stronger mentally. They were able to overcome the Windies when they were badly outplayed in that match, in my opinion. They were able to beat England in a clash of titans. A match that felt like it was the final, quite frankly, especially knowing the two countries involved. and knowing New Zealand had knocked off South Africa. And they were able to really deal with New Zealand very easily. This came after the tough hurdles against the United States, against the Dutch. But when they really had to step up, Pakistan, they elevated their game. They crushed them. When they had to step up against Windies, they did enough to get through a match where they were outplayed. They didn't let the South Africa crushing defeat at the hands of South Africa really impact them psychologically. And then obviously got through England in a classic semifinal and won today. So congratulations to them. Psychologically, so hard to repeat. They have such depth in their squad and such a sense of self-belief that they did earn this title. Now, in terms of New Zealand, really loved the performances they gave us, even though at times in the group stage they were shaky. South Africa match, they responded in the semifinal to that challenge. I think they let England off the hook in a match that was sort of a dead rubber for England. They played very well, and then they made mistakes in their bowling. Henry in particular, I felt like made mistakes in that match. And then they were, I think, maybe fortunate that the Pakistan match was scrubbed, because they just had to post a better score against Sri Lanka then, which they did. And I guess technically a better score against England, I'm not sure actually, because Pakistan took England. Pakistan really tried to gut out that England match and almost got over the line. But they benefited from that match against Pakistan not being played, because I have a sneaky suspicion Pakistan might have beaten them. But congratulations to them to getting to the final, and this was a marvelous tournament. And as I said, we will probably have a final wrap-up at some point during the week. I'm exhausted from the tournament, so don't expect that tomorrow necessarily, but I think in the next few days we will. And thank you for sticking with us from the Pavilion, a Beyond the Boundary podcast. We've got a lot ahead about covering cricket from an American perspective with some unique takes here in the very near future.